What if you could live your life judgment-free? Are you ready to live the unapologetic, confident life that God designed for you? If you are, then this is the place to be. Welcome to the Bold, Brave, and Sassy Show. It's time to break free of physical, spiritual, and heart-centered challenges that have held you back for way too long. Listen in for powerful tips and tools to help you break free today. Hear from leading experts along with me, Annie Berryhill, your host and personal guide to freedom. Now it's time to live like no one's judging. Let's go.
I'm going to do something that's going to be extremely painful just because somebody said I should. You know, it's kind of like that, where you need to start. I don't normally unfriend someone that has a different opinion than myself, but I do unfollow their threads or I'll hide their posts because I don't need negative energy in my life.
Right.
And I would suggest that you don't either. You know, if it's bothering you or if it's sending you a message that you don't feel like you need in your life, hide the post,
Exactly.
You know, or unfollow the person. Or if it gets so obnoxious that you just can't stand it, then definitely unfriend the person. You know, I've had a couple of like longtime friends that I will not, and let me back up for a second. I will not unfriend someone unless it gets to a hate spouting thing. I will not tolerate that. I don't think it's cool under any circumstances for anybody to act like that. And there, frankly, with the climate, the political climate, there's been some of that, you know, where people are just being so nasty, downright, like just totally ugly. And I had a couple of instances of that where, you know, long time, you know, personal connections, surface level friends, I would put it like that, where you've known people for a long time, that I finally just had to unfriend because I just couldn't tolerate such a strong word. I just couldn't continue to give their hate life in my life. So I just, you know, and that would be my recommendation as an insulation technique for you. Maybe stair step it, unfollow the post, unfollow them. If it gets to a place where you just can't abide it, unfriend them.
Let it go. Yeah. I think people are often reluctant, as if you walked up to them and slapped them across the face when you unfollow them, unfriend them.
Well, and I think sometimes people think that people see that. I would like to clarify that real quick. But when you unfollow, when you unfriend someone, they cannot see that you've done that. Now, they can see if ultimately, like the unfriend, if you unfriend someone and they go to your profile later, you know, 2 months down the road, and they're like, well, what's going on? Why are we not friends anymore? But other than that, the majority of the time, people never see that. It's never in a moment like, oh my gosh, you know, Kim unfollowed me or Kim unfriended me. They don't get a notification that happened. So don't stress over it.
In the world, no matter what your faith background or how well you try to live out your faith, we still are very self-centered creatures. Yes. So the reason that people don't notice is because they're not paying attention to what you're doing. Yes. So, which is another great thing to remember in life. And I remember a long time ago, this is so funny. Sometimes I'm so mean, but I just sometimes have, I don't know. My mom was going on a trip and she was going on a cruise. And I think it was a springtime cruise. And she wanted to bring a wrap for a dress she was going to wear to dinner. But the wrap was velvet. It was black velvet, but she was going on a spring cruise. And she said, but it's a winter, it's a spring cruise and this is a winter wrap. And I'm like, Mom, people don't give a crap. They're looking at you to see if you're looking at them.
Like wearing white shoes after September 1, right?
Exactly. Nobody cares. They just want to know that they're noticed. I mean, that really is the human condition. Did I matter? Was I heard? Was I seen?
Yes.
You know, and that's where social media feeds into this natural need, although it becomes incessant and it becomes obsessive at times. I spend a lot of time alone. Sometimes it's fun just to get online with somebody and have a conversation because I haven't talked all day.
Right. I mean, and you can have and connect to amazing people. That's the thing. So my bigger suggestion is really connecting with people that you feel like you have a commonality with. They speak to you or you speak to them, and just really focus in on building those relationships instead of like, oh, just liking their post, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out, say something, have a conversation. It doesn't have to be just as simple as, oh, I like their post. So what? So does 10 other people, right? So how do you really build a relationship and a connection with that person? You talk to them just like we would in a normal course of like real life, right?
I think it's funny too, because you said that earlier about how would you act around this person if you saw them in real life? And what's the equivalent if you were at a party and there was all this delicious food set out and the chef was there? Would you just go like, raise your hand and be like, I like that? Would you tap them on the shoulder? Or, I like that.
How long is it going to be before we all wear like buttons, right?
Exactly.
And you just go up to their chest and hit the like button. I mean, that's ridiculous, right?
It is. But in reality, the same thing applies. You would walk up to the table with your eyes bugging out of your head and, ooh, look at all this food. It looks amazing. I don't even know what to try first. That's the kind of stuff we do. And I really feel like when somebody has done something that's intriguing to me or amazing to me, I really love to encourage people to keep doing what they're doing because that's their gift.
Yes.
And sometimes we're so worried about ourselves and what we're getting, we forget to follow that commandment of love God, love people. It doesn't say love ourselves, love God, love people. It says love God, love people. He doesn't even mention us because he knows we're going to love ourselves. Right?
Well, funny you say that because as I mentioned to you earlier, I had a funeral this past week to go to. And, things are not the same as they used to be. Like used to when someone would pass, there was an outpouring of love and support. That you would take food, you would, flowers, all kinds of things. And people just don't do that anymore. And I don't think it's because they don't care, to go to your point where, people are just at a surface level, hitting that like button on Facebook, right? Instead of really just pouring out why they like it or, and being, because we wouldn't do that in real life, right? So it's the same with like this funeral example where, we don't take the time anymore to do the things. We don't take time to love people.
Yes.
Like, we get so wrapped up in our own lives and our own stuff that we just don't take time to really build relationships anymore. For all the good that social media does, the bad side of it is that it has really forced us apart on so many levels, I think. And at a baseline level, if you really want to put your finger on it, it's about just people talking to people. Mm-hmm. Like going back to that authenticity and using your voice instead of the like button or the love button or, whatever, so that you're starting to really emote versus just, again, not taking the time to really communicate and talk with folks.
Exactly. And of course, most of us have times when we are just perusing social media. Personally, I have newsfeed Eradicator on my desktop, my laptop, so that I actually don't see my feed. So if I'm looking at my computer, I know I'm there to work. So if I get a notification or something, it may be because I was looking on my phone through the app, which I can access everything. But I only do that at times like maybe I'm waiting for a doctor's appointment or just kind of getting my brain awake in the morning, just scanning it really fast, and I might comment. But, the thing is that sometimes we don't remember, look, what you said is to love on people. That we're just going through it so quickly, and it does translate into real life. I've been in so many awkward conversations that started with, oh, I saw you went on that trip and it looked like so much fun. And they're like, blah, 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 blah. And then you don't know how to talk anymore.
Yeah, it's like
it's weird.
It's fun because you can keep up with a lot of people on social media, right? You can kind of see what's going on in their lives to a degree that we've never been able to do before. I'm connected to, my mom is one of 15 children, so I have a ton of first cousins, right? Well, I haven't seen most of them in years, but through social media, I can kind of I can see their kids that I've never seen in real life, a lot of those types of things. So that's, on the surface level of it, you're like, that's cool. I can see those things. But one suggestion, going back to, I'm going to circle back to something we talked about earlier about really insulating or paying attention to who you want to pay attention to and letting the rest of it go. One of the features that Facebook has is the ability to build a friend list. And you just talked about your Eradicator, right? And most of that is probably due to the fact that you don't want to be sidelined by other stuff, a variety of different things. But if you set up a friend list and you just have people that you really want to pay attention to, that you maybe want to feel like you're really building and connecting and building relationships with, maybe those are the people that you're more interested in spending a little bit more time emoting with, right? Oh, they post, a cake or their dinner or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, it looks amazing. And you can do that, and literally with a click of a button, Facebook will streamline that content for you as a replacement for your feed.
Nice.
And so that might be a suggestion for people to kind of cut out the clutter and the noise, and then really focus in on those that you care about the most, those that you really want to build relationships with or feel like that you can make an impact for. If it's clients, like say you're a business and you wanted to do that for your clients, you can build a friends list that's technically all of your clients where you stay in touch on social media, leveraging that functionality. So that might be a great little tip that would help insulate, really help you to start to focus versus being sidelined by, everything that Facebook throws our way. Plus, now the way Facebook has it, they decide what we see.
Exactly.
And this is a way around that.
Exactly. No, I was just going to say that we're pretty much controlled by it, even though we think we're controlling it.
Yeah.
And I do think it was funny. I don't know what you said that made me think this was when you were talking about putting the friends list together and how somehow it's a badge of honor to have as many Facebook friends, like max out your personal page at 5,000, like, oh, that's such a big deal. But yet we want to actually create a friends list or insulate ourselves from people we don't want to hear from. So that's kind of weird. That's kind of a weird thing. I want to have 5,000 friends so I can pick out the 20 I want to see all the time.
Makes no sense, does it? Right?
No, I think it goes to the capacity of the human relational brain or the relational heart. We can only manage so many friendships and have them matter.
Yes.
Have enough that.
And that's the key right there. The reality of it is, from a social media standpoint, people aren't on social media to buy stuff. Usually they're on social media to connect to things that matter to them. Mm-hmm. Whether that's family, whether that's friends, whether that's getting a certain type of information, whatever it is, community, it's a variety of things, I think, for people, but at its root, it's about things that matter to them. So how do you show up, be authentic in a way that's going to matter to the people that you want to matter to? Exactly. Using the matter word a lot, but that's the reality of it, is you want to matter. And if you matter to the right people, then you now have something that's incredibly value-based.
Hey there, it's Annie. Just popping by in the middle of this episode to ask you a couple quick questions. Have you been feeling stuck? Are you asking yourself, how did I end up here in my life? When did I lose control? I don't know if you know my story, but I've been through plenty of challenges of my own, and I found my way back. But it wasn't without a struggle. And now I want to help you find a way back too. And I want it to be easier and faster than my own experience. So what I'd like to do is to offer you a free strategy session. All you need to do is go to www.boldbravesassshow.com and click on the strategy session link that's right below the heading of that page. You'll see a little opt-in box. In that 30-minute session, I promise I can help you find some clarity through the challenges so that you can start to live more of the unapologetically confident life that God designed for you. I hope you'll take advantage of this super special offer. There's only a few spots and they're really going fast. Take care. Now back to the show. Exactly. And it goes back to what you said before, or what we've talked about, I think maybe even before we started the show. You're not going to be everybody's thing. Right? Everybody doesn't eat apples. Everybody doesn't eat watermelon. Does the watermelon get sad? The watermelon just keeps being a watermelon, doing its happy summer thing.
And you may not matter today, but you might matter tomorrow. Exactly. I mean, don't think just because you don't matter, something you put out today didn't really resonate with someone, doesn't mean that it won't tomorrow. So it's just, again, it's about, I think the key to all of this is being okay with who you are in today's space, and then authentically showing up in that space.
Exactly.
And whether it's, and I'm not suggesting you have to share, every bad thing in your life, but I think there needs to be some sort of a balance. Mm-hmm. I think the disconnect for social media is that most people are only sharing the good. They put this perfect life out there because they want people to think whatever, they get so hung up on, the perfection of it versus, oh, wow, look, I burnt the cake tonight, or I burnt the dinner, or, be okay. Lots of times when you see a food on social media, it's all about the display, right? It's all about this looks amazing. How many times have we burnt the toast, right?
Exactly.
It's okay. It's a connection point. It's a relatability type of thing. So be okay with sharing some of the bad.
Exactly. So, and of course you don't want to share the bad if it's throwing someone under the bus or it's breaking a confidence. I mean, that's not the right way. It's funny when you were saying that, because I do post a lot of food pictures because I cook a lot. I just enjoy cooking. It's just easier for me. And I have posted things that didn't work out so good, where it looked ugly, but it tasted good, or it looked good, but it really didn't have any flavor, or it was burned, or it was dry. I post those just like I post pictures. So I do this. I get an inspiration. Oh, I need to tell these people this, that I just got this download. I have to tell them my hair's in a bun. Got no makeup, but I have to tell you this before I lose it. Otherwise I'm going to lose it. I sit down with my phone, set it up on the camera, and just do it. I'm not caring in that moment about what you think about how I look. I'm trying to speak to your heart. I'm trying to let you know what I was inspired by, so that you can get, out of your own way, or you can get unstuck. You can get to that next level. That's my hope. So yeah. Not to say I'm doing it right, because I'm not always doing it right. I'm very susceptible, just like everybody else.
But I think the message of what you just said is it's not about you at all. And that's the thing that we have to get to that place. It is not about us. It is about how you're going to show up in a way that is going to make a difference, whether it's from a impact standpoint, whether it's from a business standpoint, whatever your end goal is for what drives your heart, and is how you should show up, and be okay with that, because it doesn't matter the words that came out of your mouth for that in that particular instance that you just shared, was the value. It wasn't the way you looked. It wasn't, none of that had made a whit of difference in the end. It was about the message. Exactly. So being okay with understanding that it's not about us, it's about how we can make an impact. And with who, it doesn't necessarily, to go back, we've said this several times, it's the impact is not for everyone. It's about the impact that you're going to ultimately make for those that you're meant to make an impact for, those that you're meant to serve.
Exactly. And one of the things that you said, it's not about you. I mean, that's the beginning of Rick Warren's book, right? Purpose-Driven Life. It's not about you. And if you're listening to this, I want you to understand this is not to gouge your soul and to say you're worthless. That's not it at all. It's not about you is actually quite freeing. Because if you understood what they're coming for is not your perfection, is not your expertise per se, they're coming for your authenticity. They're coming to hear from another human being about a common human situation that I've encountered that you can learn from, or that we can relate about. It's not about you in the best way. That also frees you from having to be anything you think you should be, or perfect in any way, because that's exactly what you said. That's not what it's about. So it does free people when you realize it's not about you.
And being okay with understanding that the judgment factor is not there. I mean, the judgment factor comes from within, not from without. You know, I mean, some people are sure you share something in the space. Okay, that's just somebody that is in a pain place themselves versus, you know, hurt people kind of thing.
Exactly.
But you know, when you are real, you come to the realization that what you have to share is not about you. It's about making a difference in some meaningful way, and being okay with, you know, putting yourself out there in that way. You have done an amazing thing in just owning that. Now the next step is putting yourself out there.
Exactly.
Because it's about, you know, everybody has a story, you know, whether it's like, sometimes it's a good story, sometimes it's a bad story. But the point being that whatever that story is, it has an impact to make for someone else.
Exactly.
Someone else is in that same space or has been in that same space before. Or sometimes it's just a matter of, you know, people connecting with, if it's a bad story, the pain of that story. And, you know, their story might be slightly different, but still it's a commonality. It's a human to human experience. And that's the thing.
I love it too, because exactly what you said, when you understand that it's not about you, you can step out, and really that's bold, brave, and sassy.
Amen.
And that's really just being confident. That's really being courageous. That's just being unapologetic about who you are, because somebody somewhere is not going to like what you do. And that's not your problem. Because like you said, it comes from their perspective. It comes from their values. It comes from whatever they've experienced. It's jealousy. It's resentment. I mean, I had someone who I released a video recently, and he sent me a message and he said, I think you should have done this. You should have turned the camera this way and done that. And the old me probably would have been really hurt. But what I immediately recognized was, you know what this guy's niche is? Being on camera. Right? So he looks at it through the filter of, oh my gosh, it's so not what I would have done. But that's not my focus. My focus is getting my content, getting what I need to share with people out there. I don't try to be perfect. So if anybody ever watches my stuff, you'll see it's not perfectly placed background. It's not perfect lighting. It's not perfect hair. I don't care.
Right.
I care about you.
Yes.
And right now I have to choose between perfection and getting it out there. I will always choose real and getting it out there. Always.
Amen. Yes.
Always.
You know, it's easy for us to sit here and say, you know, do all this, because guess what happens? People, oh yeah, they said I could do this and it's not about me. All right. I got it. But then guess what knocks on their door? Fear. And then they get scared. You know, and I've been there. You have.
Of course.
Everybody has a fear factor over putting themselves out there. And, you know, stepping up and saying, okay, it's not about me. It's not about me. And you're muttering it to yourself under your breath. Like, they said it wasn't about me. I can do this. I can do this. And then putting yourself out there can be so very difficult, even though you're trying to have that message in your head, replay it. You know, I have found over the years that now fear has become my BFF, because now when I feel fearful, I know, and this is experience talking. So I understand that when I say this, that I've had to go through this over and over and over again to get to a place that where now when I feel fear for the unknown, something I want to do, but I'm not quite sure I should put myself out there, I know that if I do, and if I push through the fear, there's amazing things on the other side. But it's just getting past that. So now every time I'm like, okay, all right, I'm a little scared here, but I know if I just push through, there's good stuff on the other side. It's just creating that habit in yourself where when you start feeling fearful, push to the next level, keep pushing, and fear will become one of those things that, okay, I can do this. I know there's good stuff on the other side. And it's I guess my point in saying this is it will become a habit for you. As long as you will start to push the boundary, even if it's small, take a baby step to where you start to put yourself out there in a bold, brave, and sassy way, because it does. Yeah, it'll make an amazing difference. And for you personally, because you become what you want. You become yourself. You step into yourself.
Exactly.
And then once you've done that, then you start to make an impact. And that's what you're after in the end.
Exactly. Well, I don't know, Kim, like, it's just like mic drop time. Kim just
Boom.
dropped the mic. Bam, walked away. Okay. So I have one potentially scary question to ask you, because this every mom can relate to this question, and see if you can figure out why. Do you have a favorite platform in social media?
A favorite platform in social media? Well, because I feel like that social media is kind of my baby,
Yes.
So you're like, okay, well, which platform is my favorite?
Right.
I will say that I spend the most time probably on Facebook. I started on Facebook. I think Facebook is the platform. It's kind of like the elephant in the room, right? It's got so many end users. And they're innovating at like incredible rates of speed. They were kind of stagnant for a while, but then they've, like, in the past couple of years, they've just been one thing after another. And part of that is annoying for those of us in the social media space. It's like, oh my gosh, they've changed something else. This is crazy. But it's good. The change is good for the most part. The innovation, I'm always a fan of innovation. So I guess I say that to say, probably if I had to say I have a favorite, probably have to lean towards, I actually have three favorites, but I had to like name one, and I'll do it in the order of kind of my favorites. Facebook, Instagram, and then Twitter.
Yeah, you're a Twitter maniac.
Yeah.
You are. And
Twitter, I used to spend a lot of time on Twitter just talking to people. I've kind of gotten to a place where I can't sustain that because I have so many followers on Twitter. So, there was a time when literally I was thanking all the retweets and spending several hours a day doing that,
Wow.
So it got to a place where I just couldn't sustain that. But the point is that it doesn't really matter what your favorite platform is, because I think any one platform, even LinkedIn, if you were active and, put yourself out there on any platform, you will do great things there. Choose one.
I think that's the key. I have been on Facebook myself for a really long time, and I liked it for a long time. I don't know if I'm as in like or love with it as I am anymore. I love Instagram. I love Instagram, obviously, because I'm a visual, well, I shouldn't say obviously, I am a visual person, and it's a visual platform. I love the changes that they're making, but what drives me nuts about Instagram is how fast everybody learns how to use all the stuff on Instagram. And I feel that comparisonitis. I'm like, oh, my posts aren't pretty enough, or they're not cool enough, or they're not edgy enough. And I'm 52. I'm not supposed to know this. I always feel like I'm just running behind the train. Like, wait, I just want to get on the train. But it's fun. And I think for people in, their 40s or their 50s who didn't grow up with social media, who are desperately trying to make the most of it, it's a fun challenge because of the simplicity of it. I don't really understand.
I think it's getting more complex than it has ever been, but I expected that because Instagram is owned by Facebook. Exactly. I see Instagram going in the same directions that Facebook has evolved, and it makes sense because, like I say, they're owned by Facebook. We will ultimately start to see, and we've already started to see, the algorithm implementation that's tightening up. It'll continue to tighten up. And, for those of us who are like, well, that's just a bunch of, crap. We can't, they're just trying to make us pay to play. Yeah. The reality of it is that so much content shared each and every day that it only makes sense that they start to try to serve up the best content. The problem becomes, what's the best content in their eyes versus our eyes?
Exactly.
So it's just it's one of those things. I think with Instagram, there's so much more functionality now than there ever has been. I'm anxious for them to really step into a place where, from a marketing standpoint, we can leverage it to a higher degree, where there's clickable links and things like that. Yeah. I think at that point, then Instagram will probably become the platform.
The platform. Yeah, they have all the makings of it for sure.
Yes, they do.
So Kim, I think we tackled all the world's problems today regarding social media.
Right?
I think we did a good job of, I hope that if you're listening, you really were encouraged to be yourself. Really, that's the walk away message with this is it's okay to be brave, bold, and sassy, to be yourself, to show up in the world just like you'd walk into a party. Yes, of course you're going to wear a nice dress and earrings, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's a garden party and you're wearing flip-flops and shorts. So I thank you so much, Kim. This has been a true treat. And I just wanted to double check. You can find your book on Amazon?
You can.
Okay.
Will the real you please stand up? You sure can.
So I'll be sure to link that to the show notes so people can get a hold of that, whether they want to purchase the book or the digital version, and also all your website things from there. And I knew this was going to be great. I knew it was going to be wonderful. And I don't know if I've ever told the listeners that I have an idea of what we're going to talk about, but I really, really just leave it up to being an organic conversation, and I couldn't have structured it any better. So you've just been wonderful to have on the show, Kim, and I really appreciate it. And I know my listeners have learned a ton because I have. So thank you so much, Kim.
It's been so much fun. So thanks for having me. Hopefully I said something that sparked something that will get people to step into their possibles and be bold, brave, and sassy.
Oh, I love it. Well, this has been the Bold, Brave, and Sassy Show with Annie Berryhill. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. Tune in again, download, review, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, all the good places where you can find the most fabulous podcasts in the world. And hopefully you'll tune in again real soon. Thanks so much, everybody.